another huge deal that helps our marriage is we try. We try to prioritize once a year we get away together.
Yeah, that
Not
is
with our
that
kids.
is huge, and it came from actually one of my so for the first company that we created, we got investors for,
Mhm.
and Deanna was
I love
on our
Deanna.
board. I know, me too.
Yeah.
And that was one of the pieces of advice that she gave me because she had built a company and sold it. And she said that for our marriage to take the weekend retreats, because she knew we had kids and she did too during her time, to take those retreats, but take them before you need it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that it just always stuck with me, like to really prioritize it before you start feeling like you need to get away and have a long time together to connect and dream and like take out some of the stress of everyday life
Mhm.
and be somewhere where it's enjoyable. So we've done that quite a bit. We don't always make the yearly thing, but sometimes it's anniversary. Other times it's just
Yeah.
during the part of the year where we can go somewhere nice that it's like outside of normal vacation seasons because we still do
'Cause
try
it's
to do that for
cheaper
the
then
family and
too,
it's a
making
lot
it more
less expensive.
affordable.
Yeah, it's totally.
But you can also just do, because we've done this ever since she said that,
Hmm.
really. And there have been a lot of times where money was really tight for us. And I
Yeah.
even would think, how can we I remember thinking, like, even just, does this look bad? Our families know how tight the money is. And here we are spending money on this and asking them to like watch our kids. But really, it's that priority of, well, and we don't do anniversary gifts. I don't know if that's a thing, if people do that, but even our very first anniversary when we got married, we were like, well, we're not going to do any kind of gift thing. We're
It's
going
just
to
time in. Yeah,
go
we do.
spend time
Yeah.
together out of the
We create
ordinary. And
memories
again, we
instead. Yeah.
didn't have
With the
much
same
money,
money.
but we went camping because
Yeah.
we had camping stuff.
Yeah.
And so that has been, sometimes it was sweet camping trips
Yeah.
that wouldn't really cost anything.
Well, and now because we see that it's such a priority, we have different budgets
Yes.
set aside.
Now we've
And
learned to budget
mhm,
things.
so like, every month we set aside certain automated certain amount of our paycheck
Mhm.
into these different budgets. And that's how we make some of the things like this happen. We're the
Yeah.
whole year we're saying yes to that one trip. We don't even have to have it planned yet, but we know that we're not spending money that we don't
That
have,
that we'll
but it's
have
money that's set
a
aside
little
for
bit
that
of money
purpose. Yeah.
to, at the point, at whatever time we can. A lot of times it's our anniversary,
Hmm.
but even that is like, it's in August, and that's right when back to school happens, and it's like the
And it
end
could
of
just be
people's
like a night or
vacations.
two.
So yeah, we've done a lot of not too far away,
Hmm.
because I think another thing is, we started this even when Kaleo was a baby.
Yeah.
Like, he was, however, maybe 8 months old. I mean, and even if there's like breastfeeding mothers, there's ways that we made it work, that it was just one night away, and like you bring your pump or whatever. But it's a really big deal. I feel like, especially when you have a baby, because you have a lot less, it's harder to connect and to just get away, even though it's so, for the moms out there, it can be so like nerve-wracking to leave your baby and be apart from your baby for a whole night. But
I,
it's so good. Actually, there were other times when I'm remembering when Ty was like 3 months old and we needed a getaway. And actually, we did bring him, but he was still at the like, when they're 2, 3 months old, they're young enough that they kind of just, once it's your multiple kids, you view that stage as easy, easy-ish in its own way of like, you can just bring them along. And we got a place just a couple hours away and brought him, but he would sleep a lot and we had our own time together still.
I think those trips that we took, I connect them personally to a lot of different breakthroughs that we've had in our marriage too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like what it does is it gets you out of the house. So you're not, it's which is super important. Like you don't want to be
Mhm.
thinking about chores or your project list for
Mhm.
either inside the house or outside the house or just your normal lifestyle. You want to get kind of disconnected from the patterns that you're used to and get out in a way so then it's just about you and your
For
marriage
your
and your
marriage,
family,
yeah.
right? But more so marriage. And I think for us, like, we've been able to get in more of a dream and creative space for long-term vision for our family during those
Always.
weekends. Yeah.
It's
So it's like
always our
we had
time to
our
get on
our
the same
big
page.
budgeting financial breakthrough on one of those
Mhm.
trips. I remember when I had a big shift because I was away from all my normal business stuff. I had some big shifts in like going towards investment and acquisitions and those kinds of dreams during one of those trips because again, it's all like set aside. But then we can kind of talk
But it
in a soft way where
and
there's
it's
no pressure
and
and
then
kind
if
of
it's
dream
something like
together.
that, it's birthed out of the two of us being on the same page
Right. Right.
and not just, oh, Tim has this separate idea. It's
Yeah.
like you've got buy-in from both people because we're creating. It's like it's a time to like step back and reanalyze and dream together
Yeah.
and
It's like it's creative
and like
space.
view what you want your life to be like as a family.
It's like creative space versus the manager space. And I know this is like kind of funky to adapt it, but I think it's the same thing. Paul Graham talks about it from Y Combinator. And there's this concept of like the manager schedule where you're in meetings, you're doing things, you're accomplishing tasks, you're connecting with people. And then there's the creative schedule, and you need like big blocks of time to be able to create things. And it's because it engages different parts of our brain. So if during the normal week in the flow of life, we're in this constant busyness, we're always being tapped, we're
Yeah.
seeing all the things that we need to accomplish, we're being effective. And if you're we end up getting really busy. And so for us, maybe it's because we're both achievers. And like, I don't know, I always find myself
Both
really
big
busy.
and try to, yeah.
Like, even when we take years off from things, it just means we're
Yeah.
busy with other
We're
things.
just filling up with other
So,
stuff.
like, to disconnect from that really busy lifestyle and then to move into this space that you create that it's allows for long-term vision and creativity and then being connected in that.
Yeah.
So for those reasons, I super value our trips that we try to take yearly.
Yeah.
And I like anticipate them thinking like, oh, I get to unplug. We get to relax if that's what I really need. Sometimes the first chunk is just like, well, we don't need to talk about anything. Let's just
Be
enjoy
together
being together
and
and not having all the
yeah.
pressure. So
Yeah, I think most of the time we don't go straight
no, we
into
don't.
like talking about
Usually it's
I
like
mean, we
towards the end.
talk
Yeah.
the whole drive wherever it is, because we get our talk time in,
Hmm.
but it's not always that dreaming. It's like catching up on things and even just being together, just being remembering that before we were parents, we were Tim and Jessica who fell in love and wanted to do life together. And it just gets you back to that. And a side note, I will say I always, when we go on trips, I have like a group of girlfriends that are close, who know us, who know our marriage, that I reach out to. I'm like, hey, cover us in prayer. And like just
It's
pray that this
huge.
time is good together. Because I can also remember a time or two of getting away and feeling like, oh man, so frustrated. Like things can just come up. It's like and like when you know that you're carving it out intentionally for connection and you're already to that point where you really need it. And we didn't listen to the wisdom of like
Yeah.
take it before you need it. And then we're going in it and we're already disconnected and we're gonna need to
Because we
like
need it by then.
because we really need it by then. And then we go and it's just good to have good close friends praying for you to get what God has for you out of that trip. The sleep that you need, the rest that you need, the intimacy that you need,
Mhm.
the connection, the conversations, and really just like to be whatever it is that your marriage needs.